20s that he got into more serious violent crime and kidnapping while
Who they
working
talking, Pablo?
with a local mobster.
Or...
He had a reputation for being a very violent and unpredictable young man. He made a bigger name for himself when he kidnapped a local businessman who had recently laid off many poor workers.
How old is this nigga? This nigga's crazy. Who was a little kid holding a gun at this nigga with a suit? So you like picking on poor people, huh? This nigga was crazy.
His family paid the ransom, but Pablo and his gang killed the man anyway. Pablo soon...
What the fuck? They paid the ransom, he still killed him. He said, bitch, that nigga was a savage.
Profits, and in Colombia that...
What's up, Demi? Today I'm finna be reacting to El Chapo versus Pablo Escobar. How do they compare? Now, lately, I just be watching a lot of shit. So lately, I've been seeing stuff about El Chapo and Pablo Escobar. Well, not really. I've been seeing a couple stuff. I heard Pablo Escobar, I heard that nigga had motherfucking 2 million. His daughter was cold, so he burnt $2 million because his daughter was cold. You gotta have a lot of money to be doing shit like that. And I heard El Chapo, he just escaped jail a whole bunch of times. He escaped out of fucking toilet. That nigga was different. I was Pablo Escobar motherfucking turned himself in and he created a jail, hired his own his little motherfucking COs, I guess, and turned himself into jail for some reason. I don't know, but I always wonder who was better? Are they motherfucking famous fucking drug? I mean, I think Pablo Escobar is dead, right? I think he's dead. Yeah, Pablo Escobar, I think he's dead. I think El Chapo was arrested. I think he's arrested in America or some shit. But yeah, I never actually knew. I always wondered how which one was better, because I heard of both of them which one was I don't know, better at drug deal. I mean, better at what they was doing. I know I've heard both of them, and I seen this pop up on infographics. Actually, I seen this pop up, and I was like, it'd be tough to react to. Which one of them niggas was better? At whatever they were doing, wasn't they drug dealing and they had a whole bunch of illegal shit. So we just gonna see right now, my nigga. We just gonna see. This is on infographics, but infographics is a tough thing. I need to check about infographics, bro. I'm probably gonna. I'm gonna react to some other videos of them. They make some tough ass videos. I ain't gonna lie. But anyway, let's get to it.
The year was 2006, and somewhere in Mexico's Sinaloa mountains, the drug boss Joaquin El Chapo Guzman had been delivered a gift. Two rival Los Zetas cartel members. With a stick in his hands, El
2006?
Chapo
I was one. Fuck.
Fractured many of their bones.
Hold on, whoa. What the fuck did he just say? Hold on. Let me insert that fucking back. I don't know what.
The year was 2006, and somewhere in Mexico's Sinaloa mountains, the drug boss Joaquin El Chapo Guzman had been delivered a gift. Two rival Los Zetas cartel members. With a stick in his hands, El Chapo beat these men so badly he fractured many of their bones. As one witness later put it, the men were so broken, they looked like rag dolls. The men were then slung over
that nigga's a demon!
Into a raging bonfire, where El Chapo pulled out his gun, made some derogatory comments about the guys' moms before shooting them, and then ordered their bodies to be burned.
He said, your mom can suck my dick. He said, your mom sucking my dick!
To a T. Heartless, relentless, and ruthless protector of his monopoly. Roughly 30 years prior, in the 1980s, the mother of one of Pablo Escobar's friends was riding a bus in Colombia. The driver didn't see that the woman hadn't quite fully stepped off the bus when he drove off, leading to her falling and dying. The king of coke was upset by what had happened.
Fucking dead. That's I would not want to dollar that.
Velasquez, aka Popeye, to kill the bus driver. Speaking about the incident later, Popeye said, "I found the driver and killed him. I didn't feel anything." We're guessing the man who ordered the hit didn't feel any remorse either. So there you go, just two examples of how these famous drug kingpins were quite similar. They both ran zero tolerance campaigns.
Yeah, I was about to say that. I was literally about to say the same shit. They both gave zero fucks. They both didn't give no type of fuck. They both was about that shit, my nigga. They both
and they were
killing
unusual people.
Killing nigga with no fucking remorse at all. Them niggas is fucking demons.
Let's start with Joaquin Archibaldo Guzman Loera. That's a bit of a mouthful, so we'll stick with his nickname, El Chapo. That translates as short. El Chapo was born on April 4th, 1957 in a rival part of Mexico in the state of Sinaloa. He was poor, dirt poor, and there were many mouths to feed in his large family. His father made his income as a cattle rancher, but it wasn't the most lucrative business to be in. So El Chapo used to sell oranges to get some extra cash.
He was getting that bread at an early age. He was trying to get that. He was hustling.
At 15, he started another side business. This time with marijuana.
Oh shit! Oh shit! It's talking fucking marijuana, and then you go, and then you go, and then you go, and you keep on motherfucking going. That's how I started. It started with just some little weed. It's crazy. It started with just some little motherfucking weed, and then
with family finances. And by age 20, he was already working with Mexican cartels.
Oh,
it's what
fuck.
you might call a rags to riches story. Working
Rags to
for
riches.
$2 a day wasn't for El Chapo. The illegal substances industry was way more lucrative. Escobar has some surprising similarities in his early life. Born Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria on December 1st, 1949, he grew up in a small town called Rio Negro, which is about 45 minutes from Medellin in Colombia. His mother, Emilda, was a school teacher, and his father, Abel, was a cattle farmer, just like El Chapo's. Though Escobar's early life wasn't quite as humble as El Chapo's, he was also part of a big family and was one of 7 kids, though his family didn't struggle as much financially. But young Pablo was always around narcotics, specifically marijuana and cocaine, and it didn't take him long to realize the financial opportunity they represented.
So basically what I get from both of them, they both seen how much money the drug game offered, and they both wanted in that. You know what I mean? They seen the money. He was always around drugs, and they seen you can live a lavish lifestyle doing with drugs, or you can get some bread with drugs. And El Chapo was broke as shit. You know what I mean? He wanted some motherfucking bread, and he knew what the drug game would get you. So basically, they both realized that the drug game has a lot to offer.
Was sold to Americans who were quickly embracing cocaine with a passion. Back to El Chapo and his rise to power. First, he worked for a cartel when a number of Mexican drug cartels
Why did he look at a little boy?
Formed by one Miguel Angel Felix Gallardo, a.k.a. El Padrino. The Godfather really got things organized and moved enough coke into the U.S. to keep Wall Street bankers partying for the next millennia. Guzman became a major player in the Sinaloa cartel under one Hector El Güero Palma. Palma liked El Chapo. He was trustworthy, and he also wasn't scared to use violence. Cross him or mess up his shipment, and bang, bang. That was it.
Bang, bang.
He was eventually arrested. Power vacuum was created in the Mexican drug trade. Various cartels, including the Sinaloa cartel, wanted the best routes to get their Colombian coke into the booming U.S. market. Even the DEA knows that when you take out a boss, all that happens is lots and lots of violence and basically no interruption of the flow of drugs. So with the Godfather put away, what naturally happened is bodies started piling up. The violence was incredibly brutal. People were getting sawn in half with chainsaws.
What the these niggas is crazy, bro.
In 1995, when El Chapo's associate was arrested, he was finally able to take control of the Sinaloa cartel. He was just 38 years old. It was a meteoric rise from the cattle farmer to drug lord. Soon he became the most powerful in all of Mexico. He had cops in his front pocket, local politicians in the back, and he even managed to bribe his way out of prison.
Damn. They couldn't. That nigga was bribing motherfucking. That nigga bribed his way out of fucking prison. He had everybody under his fucking little fucking fingertips and shit. Cops, politicians, all that shit. Because he had the fucking bread.
On the other hand, was involved in all sorts of petty crimes as a child. But it was in his early 20s that he got into more serious violent crime and kidnapping while
Who they talking about,
a
Pablo?
local mobster. He had a reputation for being a very violent and unpredictable young man. He made a bigger name for himself when he kidnapped a local businessman who had recently laid off many poor workers.
How old is this nigga? This nigga's crazy. Who was a little kid holding a gun at this nigga with a suit? So he like picking on poor people, huh? This nigga was crazy.
His family paid the ransom, but Pablo and his gang killed the man anyway. Pablo soon
what the fuck? They paid the ransom, he still killed him. He said, bitch, that nigga was a savage.
Profits, and in Colombia, that meant one thing. Cocaine. He knew you could buy stacks of coca leaves for pennies, turn them into paste, and sell the product to U.S. dealers who were seeing a huge demand for the drug.
Damn.
In the 1970s, the time of the hippies.
He knew what the fuck it was.
Americans were turning towards disco music. LSD and Mary Jane said their goodbyes, and Mr. Cocaine made his entrance to the party. There were no drug cartels back then, and Escobar realized in his early 20s that he could make a fortune and make it fast. Cocaine was like the Louis Vuitton of drugs. You could take a cheap product and sell it for outrageous prices. At 26, Escobar...
Damn, that nigga, Pablo Escobar was smart, though. He was smart as a young nigga. He was smart. He knew what to fucking do. He was really finessing niggas. pay for little, motherfucking, outrageous fucking prices, and he was getting money for it, bread for it. You know what I mean? Little cheap products and shit, but had them niggas for and that's really like that's like really the motherfucking, if you think about it, that's like them Supreme shits in the Gucci shit and the designer now, motherfuckers got motherfucking like the Supreme shit. Like I remember back in the day, niggas was everybody was wearing the motherfucking Supreme shirts with a little logo. Like them bitches, like that shit looked like all it had was the Supreme logo on a black shirt. Bitch cost like $100, and niggas was paying for it though. Niggas was paying for it.
Already banked $3 million, which today...
To this day, niggas still do the same shit with Gucci now.
El Chapo, he did it without having to chop off any heads. He could have bought a big house with a swimming pool and retired.
What did he say?
For these guys, it's never enough. In the late 90s,
what did he say?
unlike El Chapo, you could take a cheap product and sell it for outrageous prices. At 26, Escobar had already banked $3 million, which today would be about $15 million. Like El Chapo, he did it without having to chop off any heads. He could have bought a big house with a swimming pool and retired, but of course, for these guys, it's never enough. In the late 90s, El Chapo was also moving methamphetamine
What you
in
get?
the U.S. He could produce this stuff.
Once you get in that drug game, nigga,
and it proved to
and you getting that money, you getting that fast money, you don't want to step out.
For 3 days straight without sleeping. It was also very cheap compared to coke. Another benefit for the cartel was the fact that he didn't have to buy it from the Colombians. He could have his people make it in meth labs and move it straight into the U.S. He soon became the boss of bosses and had control of the cartels in many states in Mexico. He became the new godfather and wielded great power.
I'm the new godfather now, nigga.
Out of prison in 2001. That breakout apparently cost him $2.5 million, or virtually nothing, to Mexico's new boss of bosses.
Oh, so he bribed niggas to get out?
The pact that the cartels had made was broken, and before you could say chainsaw, thousands upon thousands of people were caught up in the violence that followed and killed. This included civilians, women, and children.
Whoa. I mean, what are they talking about? I'm losing track.
That breakout apparently cost him $2 million in many states in Mexico. He became the new godfather and wielded great power. He was arrested and imprisoned, but broke out of prison in 2001. That breakout apparently cost him $2.5 million, or virtually nothing, to Mexico's new boss of bosses.
So that's light then.
Fact that the cartels had
2.5 light.
And before you could say chainsaw, thousands upon thousands of people were caught up in the violence that followed and killed. This included civilians, women, and children, as well as those directly involved with the cartels. El Chapo somehow stayed on top, and it's thought he was protected at least in part by the DEA, since he gave up a lot of other cartel members. He was wanted in the U.S.
He was fucking snitching and shit. He was an informant. Come on, Chapo, you was an informant. God damn. That's some whole shit, man. I ain't gonna lie, man. That's some whole shit, man.
Because he helped the DEA, that indictment was dropped for a time. The violence didn't stop. And what happened was one of the bloodiest and most violent wars the world has ever seen, with people killed in the most horrific ways. Men were tortured, cut to pieces, beheaded, and in one especially gruesome case, one of the bloodiest and most vile turf wars the world has ever seen, with people killed in the most horrific ways. Men were tortured, cut to pieces, beheaded. And
so from what I seen, they both did it in a different way. Like Pablo, he did he did a lot of, to get what he wanted and shit, like to get out of, like, he bribed niggas, he ratted on niggas, and this nigga was different. Like, this nigga was killing niggas, murking niggas, fucking embracing. Like, this nigga was a demon, nigga. He was a demon.
On an especially gruesome case, a man's face was stitched onto a soccer ball and sent back to his cartel.
What the fuck? This nigga's different. Nah, Pablo Escobar is a fucking demon, bro. This nigga's a demon. I didn't know he was on this type of shit. This nigga's crazy, bro. How do you get like that?
As for Escobar, his people were...
Imagine fucking stitching somebody's face to a fucking soccer ball. And like, you fucking crazy, bro? 4,000 victims? Bro, this nigga's crazy.
And it's thought his gang killed as many as 4,000 people during their cocaine
That's
dealing days.
Sick,
They took out leading politicians, lawyers, and even blew up an airplane carrying a presidential candidate, killing 107 people.
This nigga's fucking insane! What the fuck is wrong with this nigga? What's wrong with this nigga? You blowing up planes and shit? I think I heard that before. Didn't I? I swear I heard that. Probably did.
Escobar's power was greater than anything El Chapo would ever have. He really was the king of coke, whereas El Chapo was...
Hold on, Mr.
plane carrying a
What is it?
presidential candidate, killing 107 people. Escobar's power was greater than anything El Chapo would ever have. He really was the king of coke, whereas El Chapo was more like a very big flash in the pan. Escobar created the business of trafficking cocaine, while the Mexican gangs were merely buying their cocaine or being paid to move it for them. Escobar was also...
So Escobar kind of like he made, so basically he's saying he made that shit. El Chapo, like, you know, he bought and got niggas to do shit for him, but Escobar was like, you know, he was more like create, like he was
kind of Robin Hood figure, since he gave a significant amount of cash to poor communities and built up infrastructure. Like
I did hear about that. I heard about that fact. I heard like El Chapo, like he was a real, like, people didn't really like it was hard for the government to get, because like people wasn't really like snitching on El Chapo or whatever, or trying to get him caught up, because like El Chapo was making schools, he was making a lot, he was doing a lot of shit for like the community or whatnot. So it was just like, and people, like, even though the government wanted to get after him, or the military or whatever, they wanted to get after him, the people, like, even if they wouldn't give him up, because why would they give him up when this guy's helping us? He's building schools, he's building hospitals for us, like he's building like so many things for us. Why would we try to give that man up who's doing so much for the community, doing more than what the government is doing for us? So why would we give that man up? You know what I mean? I think that's,
While the murder rate in Medellin was out of control, Escobar was out of El Chapo and the Mexican cartel's league when it came to killing. Sure, he blew up buildings and made Medellin the murder capital of the world. He killed lawyers and took out around 600 cops, but his level of violence was not close to what would later happen in Mexico. He had so much control, he simply didn't have the need to fight off a large number of competing cartels. He was also a master at public relations, and he ran things more like a business than an unruly, bloodthirsty mob. It was simple with him. You take the money, or you take the bullet. The deal he gave to officials was an offer they couldn't refuse. Plato or plomo.
That's some savage shit, though. That's some motherfucking. You take the money, or you take the bullet. That's some savage shit.
It was simple with him. You
take the money, or you take the bullet. That's crazy.
Officials was an offer they couldn't refuse. Plato or plomo, silver or lead. And it was a very real offer.
Silver or lead, nigga. Silver or lay down, nigga.
And the Colombian authorities had every right to be fearful of this powerful man. He could bribe or take out anyone, no matter how high they were in their particular office. At one point, Escobar was getting around 15 tons of cocaine into the U.S. every single day. This worked out to something
15 tons every fucking day. Do you know how much 15 tons is? I don't know how much 15 tons is. We gonna look it up, nigga. Fact check! We gonna look that shit up right now, nigga. I don't know how much fucking 15, but no. I don't know how much 15 tons a day is, but I know that's a lot. 15 tons a day. Fuck, no. Am I dumb? How much is 15 tons? 30,000 pounds. That's a lot. That's a lot. 30,000 pounds of fucking coke a day. Annual profit 26 billion. What the fuck? This nigga really was getting bread, bro. What? This nigga's crazy.
$26 billion a year for the cartel. Forbes even put Escobar down as one of the richest men in the world with a net worth of $30 billion. He truly was the king. El Chapo may have been successful, but he was never the king. Or if he was, his kingdom paled in comparison to Escobar's. Escobar was killed in 1993 at 44 years old. At the time of his death, he had more money stashed away than you can imagine. He owned properties all over the world. 25,000 Colombians mourned for their real-life Robin Hood at his funeral. But did the drugs stop moving after Escobar's death? Of course not. They just started getting trafficked by different people, namely the Cali cartel. This cartel also had power in politics and could easily buy off certain law enforcement agencies. One thing that did change is the crime rate and murder rate in Medellin did go down by a lot, but mostly because cocaine now comes out of other South American countries. The stuff is cheap and easy to grow, although the farmers don't make much from it. And that's one reason why the traffickers don't mind getting their shipments stopped. It doesn't cost much to buy from the producers, so if you lose a shipment, it's no big deal. It's as simple as that. The risks are great, since you might get killed or tortured or imprisoned, but the profits are too good not to do business. El Chapo wasn't killed like Escobar, but was arrested for the last time in 2014 when he was 56 years old. How much cash he had is up for
That was
debate.
recent.
The U.S. has been looking for his money for years and has come up with next to nothing. Meanwhile, reports suggest it cost
They still haven't found that nigga money?
dollars to capture this. How much cash he had is up for debate. The U.S. has been looking for his money for years and has come up with next to nothing.
To this day?
Suggest it cost the U.S. taxpayer billions of dollars to capture this cartel leader, who was simply replaced in a heartbeat. The Sinaloa cartel is still as big as it ever was, with its biggest competitor arguably being the Jalisco New Generation. The DEA is now spending more billions trying to capture the leaders of those gangs, who will only be replaced by a never-ending queue of men ready to take their place. Cocaine use in the U.S. and in many parts of Europe, especially the U.K., is on the rise as we speak. So it's likely these men will just continue to get more and more powerful. Since El Chapo's arrest and the power vacuum opened in its wake, Mexico's murder rate had steadily increased and hit an all-time high in 2019.
Whoa. Death toll 2019, 34 fucking thousand. Jesus. Death toll March 2020, 2000. Oh, damn, it went down by a lot.
Secretariat of Public Security stated that there were over 34,582 murders in Mexico that year. And in March 2020, the highest number ever of homicides was reported, 2,585. Why compare these two world-famous drug lords? Well, one reason is so that you can see that the war on drugs will never end and can't be won. And another reason is to show you that El Chapo was just one guy in the game. He was replaced, and some other guy will probably get some media attention soon. He'll become the #1 outlaw and scapegoat for something that's much bigger than him. As for Escobar, well, sure, he's been replaced, but let's remember one thing. He started the game. He was no flash in the pan. He was the very fire that ignited decades of cocaine use and abuse in the USA and across the world. Now go watch this.
So from what I get is basically that, I mean, the cartel and the shit that's happening, it's still going on, and it's not going to stop. You know what I mean? Like you said, just like how we know El Chapo, we know Pablo Escobar. Probably in the near future, we'll probably hear about another fucking drug galore fucking leader. You know what I mean? He'll grow fucking popularity, and we'll know about him, and he'll end up probably getting caught or end up getting fucking killed. And then the cycle will keep on going and keep on going. You know what I mean? But the thing about Pablo Escobar is different. You know, there'll be another El Chapo. Well, maybe not exactly like him, but I mean, there'll be another motherfucking. There'll never be another Pablo Escobar because he started this shit. Like, he started this cocaine fucking business. He started this whole fucking shit. Like, this shit came through him. You know what I mean? And the thing about being the motherfucking first, you the first. You know what I mean? Nobody can repeat the fucking first, and that's a fact. You know? I think the difference between, like, El Chapo was a good guy of some sort. He was like I said, it wasn't like El Chapo, like, motherfucking, he was kind of like, you know, selling. He was like buying, like getting niggas to buy the shit or some shit like that. And he kind of was like, he was helping a lot of people. You know what I mean? He was helping people. He was helping the community. Cause or something like that. El Chapo was kind of like, you know, he was a better person. Like, he was actually helping the community and shit like that. He was in the drug game or whatever. But Pablo Escobar started this shit, and he was just more violent. He just was killing niggas, bro. I don't know. This nigga was fucking crazy. Like, to stick somebody's face or to a soccer ball is fucking crazy. Like, you gotta be an insane nigga. Like, that nigga was mentally crazy, bro. That's interesting. So from what I get, you know, Pablo Escobar is definitely the king. You know, he started it. He made more money. He sold more. He definitely was the king of the drug. Out of them two, he definitely was the king. Oh, I mean, El Chapo wasn't the best. I mean, he was motherfucking informing. You know, he was working with motherfuckers. Like, that nigga was, I mean, he was working with everybody. I mean, that nigga went to jail, was bribing himself out of jail. That's crazy. Niggas was just bribing himself out of jail. Wasn't that fucking crazy? Yeah, but that nigga wasn't informing. It's just, you know, niggas. I don't really respect that. But then I respect him, you know, for, you know, helping the communities out. You know what I mean? That's why niggas didn't want him to get him arrested. That's because niggas wasn't trying to get El Chapo arrested when he helping out the communities. Why would you do that? I mean, that was interesting. That was a very interesting video. I wonder if I should react to more shit about these niggas. I don't know. Have they ever met before? I wonder. I don't know. Seems interesting though. Well, y'all, I'm finna go to the next video. Yes, sir.